Art has always been, I know for me personally, like an outlet. Because I was the type of kid growing up, for example, that kept a lot of things to myself and didn't really express myself, and would just be like that quiet kid in the corner that didn't talk to anybody. And then it was through my art that I kind of was able to find a voice for a lot of things, because visual arts was the first art that I was introduced to.
The fact that we get to work around art all the time, I mean, it's not installing art every day, but even every day I walk through the gallery and I get to see artwork on my way into my office, and I'm doing a lot of work with artists and what they're working on, and I find that very inspiring and interesting to be here, and everyone who's here also cares that much about artwork, and it's a really great place to spend your day.
I haven't worked at many other places, but it's awesome. I love the community here, all of the people working together to get these shows up, to take them down, to tell the public about them. We all get excited about the same things and different things about the exhibits, and we get to talk to each other about art all the time, which is great.
It was a bit convoluted. I originally went to school for English literature and worked in a publishing company for a number of years. Decided that wasn't what I wanted to do, went back to school for art conservation. And then I was a private conservator for about 5 years when a job came up here at the art gallery, and I decided to go for it. I've been here ever since.
I've always been interested in art. I always wanted to be an artist. Sometimes I wonder why that is, but I don't know, it's just making things with your hands and expressing yourself in a way that can relate to other people, can be very personal. Yeah, I think it's just always been like a mode of expressing myself, which is where I do best.
Well, I can connect on a bunch of different levels. So sometimes I am fascinated by the technical side of an artist's work, where I'm just fascinated with how they have achieved whatever goal that they're trying to, whatever story they're telling, or their ability to create textures and manipulate the medium. For some of the things I get engaged with, it's on an intellectual level, where I find very interesting what they're saying, what they're trying to say. I, as an artist myself, do figurative works. So definitely when there's an artist who does figurative works, I connect on that level, where I recognize, and I do love portraiture a lot, but there's always something, and it doesn't have to be necessarily related to something that I think is beautiful. Sometimes I just think it's a really great piece of storytelling, or moving, or says a lot. So there's different ways of engaging with art, and I think because of my arts background, it's not just about one thing that attracts me. There's all these different avenues you can come in.
Well, my position now has been something that I've been growing into. I started as a front desk attendant, and I don't have much experience in the working world beyond front desk, secretary work, and I didn't really work much through university because I really wanted to focus on being at university. So coming from front desk and then being kind of led into a supervisory role has been challenging for me, especially with the communicating. But I'm thankful for all of the senior staff. I always have somebody who I can ask questions to. I started during COVID, so I didn't really have a sense of what the gallery does outside of the pandemic. So now that we're emerging from pandemic workflows, we're ramping up in events, activities. The amount of interaction that we have with the public is changing and is different, and yeah, it's just looking towards my teammates and asking them the questions that I have and having them answer and give me some guidance on that.
I look after the collection of artwork that we have here in the gallery, which is over 1,600 pieces of art, as well as all the information that about the collection, I guess. Each piece has a specific number that's assigned, and then all sorts of information that goes with that. So I keep the database that holds all that information. And I do a lot of other things in terms of installing exhibitions and shipping and insurance, all sorts of behind-the-scenes stuff.
I've been in this position for just about a year now, and I'm in charge of anything that revolves around children. So kids programming, kids classes, kids tours, everything in that realm, basically. I started as a summer camp instructor, and then I did 4 summers of summer camp instructors. And then I also ended up being their go-to instructor for PA days and the other classes as well. And that's how I ended up slowly becoming education coordinator.
When I first started, very early on, we did a show of an artist named Kim Adams. He does large-scale installation, sculptural pieces. A number of them have to incorporate cars and car parts, and so we did have, and one of the pieces had large scooters. That several of the scooters had to come in, and then it had all these other components that had to go together, which was something I hadn't dealt with before.
One of the biggest challenges is making sure that with what we have, we can give wonderful things.
I would say actually interacting with the kids is my favorite part. I do teaching outside of this as well, so it's kind of, I've always loved actually being physically with the kids. In a position like this, obviously there's a lot of admin side to it that not so much my favorite, but it's one of those, you love it, and because you build off of their energy, and when they're excited, you get excited, and it makes the whole experience a lot better. And actually, when they actually feel like they've learned something new, or when you do an actual art project with them and they've learned a new technique or they grasp something, that moment of them being like, I figured it out, is kind of like the most satisfying part of being the teacher. I always find it's always the really obscure pieces that students are very confused or want more information about. And when they start asking questions, that's when you know you can stay in that spot and actually talk about things for a while, which is always the best kind of situation as well.
I love learning, and I love learning new things, and I find that this job is really ideal for that, because whether it's a new show coming in, we have to figure out how do we install it, what's the best method for it, as well as how do we care for it, we make sure that everything is safe. I've installed things that I could never imagine. It's so easy to think about an art gallery as having paintings on a wall or drawings. A big part of this gallery, the mandate for the collection, but also for exhibition, is to show and collect the work of Indigenous artists from across Canada. And so a lot of exhibitions that we've been putting on also have a big ceremonial component, and that's been something that's been really exciting to be part of as well.
Obviously, there's not buckets of money that's thrown at the arts to do everything that we're doing, so how do we use the resources we have to have the greatest impact? And that is, it's problem solving. Like, what can we do with what we're allotted, and is it going to be really significant for the community and for what we're bringing to Thunder Bay? Having
that 5-minute conversation with people about the art is always a big thing for me.
Folks who come in and just talk about their lives with you, you'll just open a dialogue with them. You'll be like, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? And sometimes they'll just be like, I'll just tell you my life story right here and now. You're like, whoa, okay, thank you. Do you want to look at the art?